Have you ever felt as if life itself was trying to speak to you? A sequence of numbers lining up perfectly. A stranger uttering the very thought that just crossed your mind. Or that peculiar stretch of time when a single moment feels eternal. Most people brush these things aside as coincidence. But you know better. Deep down, you sense that these are not accidents. They are whispers from the universe. Gentle signals that reality is far less rigid than it appears. That life is shaped not by chance but by the frequency of our awareness. What if I told you that these subtle signals are proof of your consciousness moving into a higher order of alignment? Imagine the universe as a vast ocean of possibilities. Most people drift on the surface, repeating the same patterns, thinking life is only what is visible above the water. Yet you, because of your awareness, you have begun to dive beneath that surface, where infinite streams of possibility flow. Every coincidence, every synchronicity is like a ripple from your higher self, guiding you home to a timeline where you are not just the observer of reality, but also its co-creator. This shift often feels like an unraveling. Old habits, familiar patterns, even your sense of identity may feel as though they are dissolving. It is unsettling, sometimes even painful. But remember the caterpillar. It does not simply grow wings and fly. First, it must surrender completely. Its entire form melts down into formlessness before reorganizing into something unimaginable. In the same way, your consciousness is reorganizing itself, recalibrating your nervous system so that it can carry the higher frequencies of awareness without breaking. What feels like anxiety is not punishment. It is your body updating itself. What feels like loneliness is not rejection. It is the universe pulling you away from old frequencies so you can attune to new ones. And yet, within that process, there is beauty. Think about those moments when time bends, when 5 minutes in meditation feels like hours, or when an entire afternoon slips away in what seems like a single breath. This is not your imagination. This is your nervous system, learning to perceive non-linear time, where past and future are not rigid lines but flexible frequencies you can move through, the same way a musician learns to feel rhythm instead of counting beats. Your soul is learning to navigate a deeper rhythm of reality. One of the clearest signs of this shift is how people and the world respond differently to you. Technology behaves strangely. Phones glitch, lights flicker, energy bends. Strangers tell you their stories without knowing why. Children and animals are drawn to you, as if they sense the calm current flowing through your field. Conversations bypass small talk and dive straight into the heart. These are not accidents. Your electromagnetic field is becoming coherent, broadcasting a signal strong enough to resonate with the hidden awareness in others. And here lies the essence of it. Your attention is no longer a passive glance. It is a laser carving paths through the infinite quantum field. When you allow yourself to become present, truly present, your focus collapses the wave of possibility into form. This is why your desires feel stronger now, why your intuition speaks more clearly. They are not random cravings. They are quantum signatures, calling you into alignment with the version of yourself that already exists, waiting for you to embody it. But here is the paradox. You cannot force this shift. You cannot wrestle reality into your preferred shape. The more you try to control, the more chaotic your energy becomes, scattering the very coherence you need. Real transformation happens not through effort but through surrender. Like a river that no longer fights to run uphill. You find your power when you let go, when you trust the current to carry you. In that stillness, reality reorganizes itself around your being. The right people arrive. The right opportunities reveal themselves, not because you pulled them closer with willpower, but because you allowed yourself to flow into the timeline where they already existed. Think of it this way. Coherence is the invisible harmony that holds galaxies together, that keeps the Earth orbiting the sun. And it is the same harmony now emerging within your heart. Your brain, your nervous system. When you allow your inner systems to align, you become more than an individual trying to survive. You become an instrument of cosmic intelligence, playing your part in the great symphony of life. This is why your transformation matters. It is not just about your healing, your joy, your clarity. Each time you choose coherence over chaos, love over fear, you are not only rewriting your own story, you are contributing to the resonance of the entire planet. The ripple of your coherence makes it easier for others, even across oceans, to remember theirs. In this way, your private awakening becomes a service to humanity. So if lately you have felt restless, as if something inside you is stirring, know this: you are not broken. You are not lost. You are undergoing a metamorphosis. Your old self is dissolving so that your true self, your quantum self, can emerge. The universe has been preparing you, sculpting you through every challenge and every sleepless night. Just as pressure and heat transform carbon into diamond, now you stand at the threshold of conscious creation. You are no longer just watching life happen. You are participating in the ongoing unfolding of reality itself. The quantum field does not wait for you to become worthy. It responds to what you embody now. And when you embody coherence, life flows through you with ease and clarity. So breathe, let go of the need to control. Trust that the signals you've been noticing are not random. They are invitations. Invitations to step into your true role as both observer and architect of reality. You are not becoming something new. You are remembering what you have always been: consciousness itself, infinite and free, choosing for a moment to experience life in human form. And when you allow yourself to live from that remembrance, you don't just change your life, you help awaken the entire world. 1. Metaphor of transformation. Picture the journey of a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. It doesn't simply sprout wings one morning and take flight. No, it first dissolves inside its cocoon. Every cell, every structure of its old self must break down into something unrecognizable, into a kind of living soup, before a new pattern can emerge. The caterpillar must surrender completely to this chaos before it can be reorganized into a creature that can move through the sky. In much the same way, when your consciousness enters a quantum shift, the familiar patterns of thought, the old ways of responding, and even the identity you once clung to begin to dissolve. You may feel disoriented, restless, or even lost. Yet what feels like an unraveling is actually the sacred work of reorganization. The worry, the doubt, and the fatigue are not signs of failure. They are signs that the old structures of limitation are breaking apart to make room for something freer, wider, and infinitely more alive. Think of those seasons in your life when the ground beneath you seemed to give way, relationships ending, beliefs collapsing, health faltering. At the time, it felt like destruction. But later, you realized that those very cracks were the places where the light could enter, where something larger than your own plans could guide you. Transformation always asks us to let go of the comfort of crawling, so that we can remember the wings we were born to unfold. The truth is, every human being will encounter moments when life calls them into this cocoon of change. The difference is whether we resist it, holding on tightly to the past, or whether we trust the process. Even when it feels uncertain, just like the caterpillar, you cannot rush the metamorphosis. You cannot will the wings to appear by force. You can only allow, and in that allowing, something greater than your mind reorganizes your being. I know this not as an abstract idea, but as lived experience. I have walked through nights that felt endless, seasons where everything I thought I was dissolved. I wrestled with fear, with silence, with the ache of not knowing what came next. But looking back, I see it clearly. Now those were the exact conditions that reshaped me. Just as pressure turns carbon into diamond, The weight I once resisted was the very force that refined me. When you are in the middle of it, it can feel unbearable. But trust this, the discomfort is temporary. The reorganization is permanent. You are not losing yourself. You are shedding what no longer belongs to the truth of who you are. The metamorphosis of consciousness is not about becoming extraordinary. It is about becoming real. It is not about escaping your humanity, but about entering it more fully. Learning that to be human is to hold both the fragility of the caterpillar and the freedom of the butterfly. And here is the beauty. Once the butterfly emerges, it never doubts its wings. It does not look back at the cocoon with regret. It knows that the struggle was not wasted time, but the necessary passage into flight. In the same way, one day, you will look back on this season of unraveling and see it for what it truly was, the tender beginning of your freedom. So, when you find yourself in the dark cocoon, when the old life feels like it's falling away, breathe. Remind yourself that chaos is not the end. It is the beginning. The mind may cry out for certainty, but the soul knows. Deep within, you already carry the blueprint for your wings. You don't need to know what the final form looks like. The caterpillar has no concept of flying, yet it surrenders anyway. You too are being asked to surrender, to trust that this process, as painful as it feels, is leading you into a version of yourself you cannot yet imagine. The invitation is simple. Stop fighting the breaking. Stop fearing the dissolving. Instead, soften into it. Let the old stories melt away. Let the patterns of fear, of control, of scarcity dissolve. Every tear you shed, every moment of confusion is part of the alchemy. The more you resist, the longer it takes. The more you allow, the more gracefully the transformation unfolds. This is not about chasing perfection. It is about remembering wholeness, the wholeness that was there before the fear, before the conditioning, before the world taught you to shrink. That wholeness has never left you. It has only been waiting for you to remember. And perhaps the greatest gift of this metamorphosis is that it connects you to something larger. When you rise into coherence, you don't just heal yourself, you become a beacon. Your light becomes a quiet permission for others. Without saying a word, you show them that it is possible to surrender, to trust, to allow themselves to be carried into something greater. We are living in a time when countless souls are entering their cocoon all at once. Collectively, humanity is dissolving old systems, old ways of thinking, old structures of fear. It feels messy because it is our. But just as the caterpillar cannot imagine the sky, we cannot yet imagine the world that will emerge from this collective transformation. And yet, it is already on its way. So if you feel like your life is falling apart, if the ground seems unstable, if the future is unclear, remember this: you are not breaking down. You are breaking open. You are not ending. You are beginning. Trust the cocoon. Trust the stillness. Trust the intelligence of the process that knows exactly how to turn your chaos into clarity. You are not alone in this journey. We are all, in our own ways, learning to unfold our wings. And when the day comes, when you finally step out of that cocoon, you will not just walk into a new life. You will fly into it. 2. Deeper meaning. What you are experiencing is not just yours to carry. It is not a private story unfolding in isolation. It belongs to something far greater, something woven into the fabric of humanity itself. In this moment, whether you recognize it or not, you are part of a vast rhythm, a collective shift in consciousness that is moving through our species like a tide. For thousands of years, human beings have lived in patterns of fear and survival. We have built systems that separate us, beliefs that divide us, and stories that keep us small. But deep beneath those patterns, another current has always been flowing. It is the current of awakening, the call of the soul that refuses to be silenced. And right now, that current is rising stronger than ever before. When you feel yourself trembling with change, when your nervous system feels stretched to its edge. Remember this. It is not only your personal life that is transforming. The planet itself is recalibrating. The human field, our shared field of consciousness, is learning to hold higher frequencies of love, coherence, and presence. You are not a drop of water struggling alone. You are part of the ocean that is turning, one wave at a time. It may sound abstract, but you have felt it. Think of those moments when you chose peace instead of argument. When you softened your breath instead of reacting in anger. The stillness you found within yourself did not end with you. It rippled outward. Perhaps a conversation ended with gentleness instead of pain. Perhaps a stranger felt safer in your presence without knowing why. Perhaps a child or an animal rested more easily in the calm of your field. These are not small things. These are threads of coherence being woven into the collective fabric of humanity. We often underestimate the power of quiet presence. The world teaches us to believe that change comes only through loud voices, grand actions, or sweeping revolutions. But the deeper truth is quieter. Real change begins in the invisible field we carry inside us. When your heart becomes coherent, when your mind and body align with peace, you become like a tuning fork. You stabilize the field around you, not by force, but by resonance. This is the deeper meaning of your transformation. Every time you choose coherence instead of chaos, you help steady the collective nervous system of humanity. You might not see the results immediately, but they are real. The coherence in your heart makes it easier for someone across the world to find their own calm. The love you hold in a moment of difficulty contributes to a field that makes love more accessible to others. This is not poetic imagination. It is the physics of consciousness, the entanglement of energy that binds us all. I have witnessed this in my own life. There were times when I thought my healing was only for me, my struggles only my own. But as I softened, as I learned to rest in the presence of my own being, I noticed how people responded differently. Friends spoke with more honesty. Strangers felt safe enough to share their burdens. Even the energy in a room would shift when I chose to carry coherence instead of fear. I realized then that every step I took inward was also a step taken on behalf of the whole. And this is where the invitation becomes profound. Your awakening is not selfish. Your peace is not indulgent. It is a contribution to the planet itself. When you allow yourself to settle into coherence, you are strengthening the field that holds us all. You are helping to birth a new stage of humanity, one where we remember that separation was always an illusion. We are not meant to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, but we are meant to carry coherence in our hearts. And in doing so, we become part of the solution, without ever needing to control the outcome. It is like planting seeds in a garden you may never see bloom, but knowing that the earth remembers every offering, so the next time you feel discouraged, as though your quiet efforts don't matter, remember this: they matter more than you know. Every time you soften your breath, you soften the collective breath. Every time you choose love over fear, you make it easier for someone else to do the same. Every moment you spend resting in presence is not wasted. It is woven into the evolution of humanity itself. This is the deeper meaning. Your transformation is not yours alone. It is a gift you give back to the whole. Humanity is like an orchestra that has long played out of tune, and each time you return to coherence, you tune your instrument. Slowly, quietly, the entire symphony begins to change. The melody of fear and division gives way to something new, something tender, something whole. And perhaps the most healing truth of all is this: you do not need to do this perfectly. You do not need to hold coherence every moment of every day. Even one genuine moment of presence, one heartbeat of love, adds to the field in ways beyond what you can measure. The planet does not ask you for perfection. It asks you for sincerity. So when the weight of the world feels heavy, when chaos seems louder than ever, pause, place a hand on your heart, breathe slowly. Remember that you are part of something larger than your own story. You are part of the great unfolding of human consciousness. And every time you choose coherence, you help steady the path for us all. This is how we move together through the turbulence of change, not by forcing the world to transform, but by becoming the living presence of transformation ourselves. You are not alone in this. We are in it together, one heartbeat at a time. 3. Signs of quantum shift. One of the most tender parts of this journey is realizing that the world around you begins to respond differently. The signs are often subtle, easy to dismiss if you are not paying attention. Yet when you pause, when you look closely, you begin to see that life itself has started to reorganize around the frequency you now carry. Technology, for instance, may behave in ways that seem strange. Lights flicker as you walk beneath them. Your phone battery drains more quickly on some days and lasts far longer than expected on others. Sometimes your computer stalls or resets without reason, as if it too is struggling to keep up with the new frequency you are broadcasting. While others may shrug these things off, as you feel it, the electromagnetic field of your body is no longer what it once was. You are emitting coherence. And even the machines respond. Children and animals notice it most. They sense energy more purely than adults, untouched by layers of conditioning. A child may come to you without hesitation, resting easily in your presence. A doll might settle at your feet, or a bird pause longer on the branch when you stand nearby. These simple encounters are signs that your field is becoming harmonious, safe, magnetic, in a way that goes beyond words. And then there are the strangers. You've likely noticed how people you don't know well begin to open up. In a grocery store, someone shares a story from their life without knowing why. On a park bench, a passerby suddenly tells you about their struggles. At first, you may wonder why this happens. But the truth is simple. Your coherence bypasses the social masks we usually wear. It creates a resonance that says, "It's safe here. You can be real." And so people respond, sometimes without understanding it themselves. Perhaps the most profound sign, though, is the way time begins to change. You notice that moments stretch and contract in ways that defy the clock. A 5-minute meditation feels like an hour. An afternoon passes in what seems like a heartbeat. Time no longer marches in a straight line. It begins to bend, to flow, to reveal its fluid nature. You are stepping beyond the rigid stream of linear time into something deeper, what could be called quantum time, where past and future are not fixed destinations but living currents. I have lived through this shift myself, and I know how disorienting it can feel. There were days when I wondered if I was losing my grip on reality, because hours vanished into what felt like minutes. There were nights when I woke at the same uncanny hour, again and again, as though something was calling me to pay attention. And over time, I realized that this was not chaos, but calibration. My nervous system was learning to operate in a wider spectrum of time, like a radio tuning into frequencies that had always been there but never before perceived. It is important to understand that these signs are not here to frighten you. They are invitations. Each strange glitch in technology, each unusual encounter with a stranger, each moment of distorted time is a gentle nudge, reminding you you are no longer confined to the old story. You are entering a field where reality is less rigid, more responsive, more alive. And yet, this shift is not about escaping the world. It is about engaging with it more fully, but from a place of presence. When time bends, you are being taught that you are not a prisoner of the clock. You are a participant in the deeper rhythms of creation. When people open up to you, it is a reminder that your presence matters, that your coherence heals more than you realize. When children and animals draw close, it is proof that innocence recognizes innocence, that your energy is beginning to return to its natural state of harmony. Sometimes these signs feel miraculous, but the deeper truth is that they are natural. They are simply what happens when a human being begins to align with their true design. You are not becoming something unnatural. You are remembering what you have always been, an extension of the quantum field, capable of influencing and being influenced by everything around you. The question is not whether these signs will appear, they already are. The question is how you meet them. Do you dismiss them as coincidence? Or do you honor them as confirmation? Do you rush past them? Or do you pause, breathe, and allow yourself to be taught by them? The more you pay attention, the clearer the signs become, and the more gracefully you can walk through the transformation. I often think of these signs like the early buds of spring. At first, they are fragile, barely noticeable, a flicker of light, a curious glance, a strange sense of time slipping. But if you nurture them, if you trust them, they grow. Soon the whole landscape changes, and you find yourself living in a reality where synchronicity and resonance are the new normal. So if your phone glitches, if the hours seem to disappear, if people begin to tell you their stories without reason, don't be alarmed. Smile gently. These are signals that you are stepping into a new rhythm. A rhythm where life is not something that happens to you, but something that dances with you. The greatest wisdom I can offer is this: meet these signs with gratitude, not fear. Let them remind you that you are being carried forward into deeper coherence. Let them reassure you that you are not imagining the change, you are embodying it. Because at the heart of it, every flicker of light, every distortion of time, every unexpected encounter is whispering the same truth. You are moving beyond the limits of the old world, into the living, breathing reality of the quantum self. And once you recognize that, nothing will ever feel ordinary again. 4. The power of attention. There is a quiet strength that lives in your awareness. Most of us spend our days scattering it, glancing here, worrying there, distracted by 1,000 fragments. And yet, when you truly become present, when you gather your attention, like light through a lens, something extraordinary happens. Your awareness becomes a laser, cutting through the endless field of possibilities and collapsing reality into form. You might not realize it, but this is happening every moment. The thoughts you dwell on, the emotions you nurture, the stories you repeat, all of them act as instructions to the universe. Your attention is the pen, and life is the page. With each moment of focus, you are writing the script of your experience. Think of it like sunlight. On its own, sunlight warms and illuminates. But when focused through a magnifying glass, it can ignite fire. The same is true of your attention. Scattered, it feels weak, like background noise. Focused, it carries a power that can reshape not only your perception, but the very fabric of reality. This is not theory for me. It is lived truth. I have walked through seasons when my attention was consumed by fear. Every thought circled back to what might go wrong. Every story in my head was about loss, failure, or pain. And unsurprisingly, my life reflected those patterns. It wasn't that I attracted punishment. It was that my attention kept me locked inside the same narrow corridors. But when I learned to turn my awareness toward presence, when I gathered my scattered energy and rested it in the here and now, everything began to shift. Opportunities appeared where I once saw dead ends. Kindness showed up in places I never expected. Even my body responded with more calm, more ease. I realized then that attention is not just mental, it is vibrational. It changes the frequency you live on, and in doing so, it changes the reality available to you. So what does it mean to focus your attention in a way that aligns with your soul? It does not mean clenching your mind like a fist or trying to force thoughts into perfect order. It means softening into presence. It means choosing where you rest your awareness. Gently, like placing a hand on your heart. When you are truly present, the noise of unnecessary possibilities falls away, and the path that belongs to you begins to reveal itself. Imagine walking through a dense forest at night with a flashlight. If you wave the light around frantically, everything looks chaotic and uncertain. But if you hold the beam steady, the path appears, step by step. That is the power of attention. It is not about controlling the forest. It is about seeing clearly where your feet belong. This is why the practice of presence is so important, not because it makes you special, but because it makes you real. When you give your full attention to a conversation, you feel the other person more deeply. When you give your full attention to your breath, you feel the quiet intelligence of your own body. When you give your full attention to this moment, you realize that reality has always been waiting to meet you here. And here's the truth. Attention is love. To give something your attention is to honor it. To say, "You matter." When you offer that kind of presence to your own life, your relationships, your work, even to the smallest details like drinking a glass of water, you begin to live with a kind of reverence, and that reverence reshapes everything. But let us be clear, attention is not about forcing positive thinking or denying the difficult. Life will still bring storms. Pain will still visit. The difference is that your attention decides whether you drown in the storm or learn to stand in the rain. When you place your awareness not on the chaos but on the steady ground beneath it, you discover that peace is possible, even in the midst of uncertainty. I remember a night when my mind was restless, chasing 100 fears about the future. My body was tense, my breath shallow, but instead of trying to silence the noise, I chose to place my attention on the rhythm of my breath. Slowly, my chest rose and fell. Slowly, my body softened. The fears did not vanish instantly, but they loosened their grip. In that small act of attention, I touched a deeper truth, that peace is never out there, waiting to arrive. It is here, waiting to be noticed. This is the gift of attention. It collapses unnecessary possibilities, the stories of fear, the endless what-ifs, and reveals the path that belongs to your soul. You don't need to see the whole map. You only need to place your awareness gently on the next step, and then the next. Life unfolds through your focus, like a path, illuminated one stone at a time. So, the invitation is simple. Where will you place your attention? Will you scatter it on every fear and distraction? Or will you gather it like light and let it reveal what is real? Remember, you are not powerless. Your attention is the most powerful force you carry. It shapes your body, your relationships, your choices, and the reality you step into. And perhaps the most healing truth of all is this: attention is not hard work. It is not effortful striving. It is a returning, again and again, to the present. Like the river that no longer fights to run uphill, your awareness finds its strength when it flows naturally into the moment you are living. So let your attention become a prayer. Let it rest on what matters. Let it write the story of your life not from fear, but from presence. And in doing so, you will discover that the power you have been searching for has been with you all along, quiet, steady, waiting in the stillness of your awareness. 5. Explaining the phenomena. There are moments in this journey when life begins to feel uncanny. Dreams seem to carry messages from the future. You sense who is about to call before the phone even rings. You walk into a room and feel the unspoken emotions of those around you, almost as if their hearts are whispering directly into your nervous system. These experiences are not random, and they are not signs that you are imagining things. They are evidence that something profound is happening within you. Your entire system of awareness is being rewired. For much of our lives, we are taught to believe that perception is simple. Eyes see, ears hear. The brain interprets, and that is all. But the truth is more layered. Your nervous system is not just a passive receiver of sensory input. It is a living instrument, capable of tuning into fields of information that go far beyond ordinary senses. Just as a radio can pick up invisible waves from the air, your body is designed to register and process subtle frequencies that science is only beginning to understand. When you dream vividly, dreams that feel more real than waking life, dreams that sometimes reveal events before they happen, you are experiencing this expanded capacity. In those states, your brain is no longer confined to linear time. It is reaching into the deeper field of reality, where past, present, and future exist together as possibilities. The dream becomes a doorway into that field, showing you glimpses of what is already unfolding at another level. Strong intuition works in much the same way. You have likely felt it, a quiet, knowing that rises without logic, a certainty that cannot be explained by evidence, but proves itself true again and again. Intuition is not superstition. It is your nervous system tapping into multi-dimensional streams of information, translating them into feelings, impressions, and inner guidance. It is your deeper intelligence whispering to you, often in ways your rational mind cannot grasp. And then there is empathy, the experience of sensing what another person feels, even across distance. Perhaps you think of a friend out of nowhere, only to learn they were struggling in that exact moment. Or you feel the heaviness of grief in a room before anyone speaks a word. This too is not accident. It is your system learning to attune to the emotional fields that connect us all. Human beings are not as separate as we believe. We are constantly exchanging information through the resonance of our electromagnetic fields. As your consciousness expands, you begin to notice what has always been there. When these phenomena arise, they can feel unsettling at first. You might question your sanity, or wonder why you seem to be so sensitive. But I want you to hear this clearly. There is nothing wrong with you. In fact, it means something is very right. Your nervous system is evolving to handle a wider range of frequencies. What once would have overwhelmed you is now becoming integrated into your natural awareness. Think of it like upgrading an instrument. A piano with only a few keys can play simple tunes, but when you expand the keyboard, the music becomes richer, more complex, more profound. Your body is that instrument, and life is expanding its range. The prophetic dreams, the deep intuition, the empathic sensitivity, they are new notes being added to your song. I have lived this myself. There were nights when dreams left me shaken, not because they were frightening, but because they revealed truths I was not ready to face. There were times when my intuition screamed yes or no, while my logical mind tried to argue otherwise, and every time I ignored it, I paid the price. There were days when the emotions of others felt heavy in my chest, and I thought I was losing myself under their weight. But slowly, I came to see these not as curses, but as capacities. The challenge was not to shut them down, but to learn how to hold them with balance, with grounding, with compassion. And here is the simple wisdom: these experiences are not here to make you special. They are here to make you whole. They are not superpowers to show off, but reminders of what it means to be deeply human. For too long, we have limited our definition of humanity to what can be measured and explained. Yet to be human is to be porous, connected, open to fields of reality that extend beyond what the eyes can see. So how do you live with these phenomena without becoming overwhelmed? The answer is presence. When you dream vividly, don't rush to interpret. Sit with the feeling. When intuition arises, don't dismiss it. Honor the whisper. When you sense the emotions of another, don't carry them as your burden. Let your compassion hold space without losing your own center. These capacities are not asking you to do more. They are asking you to be more present. Think of it like learning to swim in deeper water. At first, the waves feel intimidating, but over time, your body learns the rhythm. The same is true here. Your nervous system is adjusting, learning how to process multidimensional information without collapsing. It is building resilience, just as a muscle grows stronger through exercise. And perhaps the most important reminder is this: you are not alone. Many around the world are experiencing the same phenomena: dreams, intuitions, sensitivities. This is not an isolated anomaly. It is a sign of collective evolution. Humanity is beginning to access layers of reality that were once reserved for mystics and visionaries. Now, these capacities are awakening in ordinary people, in you, because the time has come for us to remember. So, the next time you wake from a dream that feels like a message, or sense something before it happens, or feel another person's emotion deep in your chest, pause, breathe, remind yourself that this is not madness. It is expansion. It is your nervous system remembering its true design. Do not be afraid of these signs. Let them teach you. Let them humble you. Let them remind you that you are far more connected, far more capable, far more infinite than you once believed. And above all, let them bring you back to the simple truth. Life is speaking to you, not just through words and logic, but through dreams, feelings, and subtle currents of awareness. Your only task is to listen. 6. Action in surrender. There comes a moment on this path when you realize something quietly profound. The harder you try to control life, the heavier it feels. The more you demand certainty, the more fragile it becomes. And yet, when you soften, when you release your grip, unclench your fists, and allow yourself to be carried, life begins to flow in ways you could never have engineered. This is not passivity, nor is it laziness. It is not giving up. It is a new kind of action, an action rooted in surrender. Think of a river. The water does not push against the rocks. It curves around them. It dances with gravity. It follows the natural contours of the land. And yet, over time, that same gentle flow carves valleys, shapes landscapes, creates canyons of breathtaking beauty. The river's power is not in resistance, but in surrender to its own nature. In the same way, when you surrender, you are not stepping back from life, you are stepping into alignment with it. You are saying, I trust the intelligence that breathes me, the same intelligence that spins galaxies and turns seasons. I will do my part, but I no longer need to wrestle with every detail. I allow life to guide me. This surrender is not a one-time act. It is a practice, a rhythm, like the breath that moves in and out of your body. Each day, you will be invited to release the urge to control, again and again. And each time you do, something beautiful happens. Reality shifts from being a wall you bang your head against into a river that carries you exactly where you need to go. I remember a time in my own life when everything seemed to collapse. Plans fell apart. Doors closed. People I thought would stay simply walked away. For months, I fought the current. I tried to force solutions, to rebuild the old structures, to keep life looking the way I thought it should. But the more I pushed, the more exhausted I became. Only when I finally said, enough, I don't know the way, show me, did something shift. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, doors I had not noticed began to open. Encounters felt orchestrated. Opportunities arrived without struggle. And what once felt like chaos revealed itself as a redirection. It was as if life was saying, I needed you to stop steering, so I could show you a better path. Surrender does not mean doing nothing. It means doing the right things at the right time, without the friction of fear. When you are surrendered, your actions are infused with clarity rather than desperation. You are guided not by panic, but by presence. Imagine planting seeds in a garden. You place them gently in the soil, water them, give them sunlight, but you do not stand over them shouting, grow faster. You trust the process. You take the small, necessary actions. Then you allow the mystery of life to do the rest. This is the dance of surrender. You participate fully, but you do not control the outcome. You act, but you are not attached. You move, but you also listen. In fact, the listening becomes the action itself. Listening to your intuition, listening to the quiet pull of your heart, listening to the subtle ways life nudges you toward the next step. When you live this way, life begins to feel lighter. Choices become clearer. Even obstacles reveal themselves as guidance, redirecting you toward paths you might not have chosen but are precisely the ones you need. This is why surrender feels like magic. It allows reality to collaborate with you instead of standing in opposition. And here is the paradox: when you stop forcing, life moves faster. Have you noticed that? The moment you let go of the need to control every detail, things fall into place with uncanny precision. The phone call comes at the perfect moment. The right words arrive in conversation. The timing feels orchestrated beyond your planning. It is as if life has been waiting for your hands to relax, so it could place the gift directly into your palms. But to live in surrender requires trust. Trust that there is an intelligence greater than your mind. Trust that you are held even when you cannot see the outcome. Trust that life is not happening against you, but through you and for you. This trust is not blind. It grows from experience. Each time you surrender and see how things unfold, your faith deepens. Over time, surrender becomes less of a leap and more of a natural rhythm, like breathing. And yes, surrender takes courage. It is easier to fight, to grasp, to cling, but courage lies in softening. Courage lies in saying, I will no longer exhaust myself trying to swim upstream. I will turn. I will float. I will let the current show me where it leads. This does not mean you abandon responsibility. It means you accept a higher form of responsibility to stay attuned, to stay open, to respond with presence instead of panic. Let me give you an image. Imagine you are in a vast ocean. If you thrash and fight, you tire quickly, and the water seems like an enemy. But if you lean back, spread your arms, and trust the water to hold you, you discover you can float. The ocean has been holding you all along. You simply needed to stop struggling. That is surrender. That is action in surrender, not frantic, not forced, but alive, responsive, attuned to the flow. So as you move through this journey, ask yourself each day, where am I still clinging, still trying to control, and where can I soften? Allow, trust, notice how, when you choose surrender, even the smallest actions carry a different energy. Writing an email, speaking to a stranger, taking a walk suddenly, these simple acts feel aligned, as if infused with grace. That is because they are no longer driven by fear or control. They are carried by the flow of life itself. And perhaps the greatest gift of surrender is peace. Peace that does not come from everything going your way, but from knowing you no longer need everything to go your way. Peace that arises when you realize life is wiser than your plans and kinder than your fears. This is action in surrender, doing what is yours to do, releasing what is not, and allowing life to arrange itself in ways you could never orchestrate. It is the art of moving with the current, not against it. It is the courage to float, the wisdom to trust, and the grace to be carried home, coming home to yourself. There comes a time when you pause and realize that none of what you have experienced was random. The vivid dreams that leave you with messages lingering in the morning air. The strange alignments where someone says exactly what you needed to hear. The inner whisper, urging you to take a step you hadn't considered. All of it has been part of a tapestry, far too intricate to be dismissed as chance. These are not accidents. They are invitations. Invitations to awaken, to recognize that you are not simply a bystander in the unfolding of your life, but a co-creator with the very intelligence that spins the stars and sets the seasons in motion. This realization is both humbling and empowering. For so long, we are taught to believe we are small, tiny fragments adrift in a vast, indifférent univers. But the truth is softer and far more intimate. You are not separate from that vastness. You are its expression. You are the consciousness through which the universe tastes itself, learns itself, and expands itself. And when you awaken to this, life ceases to feel like a struggle against impossible odds and begins to feel like a dance, sometimes tender, sometimes fierce, but always meaningful. This is not about becoming someone else. The journey is not about adding layers, proving yourself, or climbing towards some distant perfection. It is, instead, the gentle art of returning to yourself, returning to the quiet awareness that has always been here, beneath the noise of fear, beneath the habits of control, beneath the mask of identity. When you peel away what is false, what remains is simple, the living presence of consciousness itself. And this consciousness is not broken. It is not lacking. It is not waiting for your approval. It is whole, radiant, already free. When you allow yourself to rest here, in this awareness, something extraordinary begins to happen. You no longer chase life as if it were outside you. Instead, you discover that life is arising within you, through you. Each thought, each emotion, each choice becomes a brushstroke on the canvas of reality. Your attention becomes the pen that writes the script of your days. This is what it means to be a co-creator, not in the sense of forcing outcomes or demanding that the world bend to your will, but in recognizing that your inner state, your vibration, is constantly shaping the field around you. And here is the beauty when you choose resonance, when you choose to align with peace rather than chaos, with trust rather than fear. You are not just transforming your own life. You are sending ripples into the larger ocean of humanity. Your stillness steadies the collective. Your joy uplifts those you may never meet. Your willingness to surrender becomes a signal to others that it is safe to soften too. In this way, your healing is never just yours. It becomes a contribution, a gift woven into the greater fabric of human awakening. It may sound vast, but it expresses itself in the simplest ways: a smile you give to a stranger, the patience you extend to a child, the forgiveness you offer yourself for old mistakes. Each of these acts radiates outward, feeding the energy field we all share. Imagine humanity as a great choir. Every time you choose harmony, you help the entire choir sing a clearer, truer note. This is how personal transformation becomes collective evolution, not by grand gestures, but by quiet choices repeated day after day. I know that this path is not always easy. There will be days when the old patterns return, when the noise of the world feels louder than the whisper of your soul. There will be moments when surrender feels like weakness, when trust feels like risk, when presence feels impossible. And yet, even here, you are not failing. Even in these moments, life is still guiding you. Sometimes the detours, the stumbles, the darkness, are simply the compost from which new growth emerges. The caterpillar does not know it is becoming a butterfly. It only feels the disintegration of its old form. And yet, in that breaking down, something unimaginable is being born. So be gentle with yourself. Honor the process. Recognize that every sign, every stirring within you, every challenge, and every gift is part of a greater unfolding. And above all, remember that you are not alone in this. You are walking this path alongside millions of others who are also waking, also learning to trust, also daring to remember who they really are. Together, we are weaving a new story for humanity, not one of fear and separation, but one of connection, compassion, and resonance. As you leave this moment, carry this truth with you. You are not here to become something. You are not. You are here to remember the vastness of your being, to remember the stillness beneath the noise, to remember that surrender is not defeat, but the doorway to grace, and to remember that every choice you make, no matter how small, contributes to the healing of the whole. So let yourself breathe deeply into this knowing. Let yourself trust the current. Let yourself soften into the arms of life. And allow it to carry you where you are meant to be. For in the end, the journey is not about reaching some distant destination. It is about realizing that the home you've been searching for has always been here, within you, waiting patiently for your return. And as you rest here, as you remember yourself as consciousness moving through human form, know that your presence matters. Your resonance matters. Your willingness to align with love, with stillness, with surrender, is a gift not only to your own life, but to the entire field of humanity. This is your invitation. This is your reminder. You are not a passive observer of life. You are a co-creator with the universe. And when you choose harmony, when you choose to let go and flow, you do not just change your own world. You help uplift us all.